Good morning, everyone. This is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today, I have a guest that I have been talking to for quite a while, and he was introduced to me through a very loving friendship that I have with a gentleman who was on my podcast named Phil Mickens. And that's gentleman from London who runs a company called International Aging Systems, and he is just a fabulous human being. And so one day we were chatting and he said, I want you to meet James Strole because I think you two are going to really connect and you have a lot of the same alignments in your thinking. And so anyway, he went on to give me a whole treatise on James before I ever chatted with him. So James, thank you so much for coming on Ageless and Timeless today. And we're welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, Phil Meekins is a great individual. I've known him for, I think, about 7 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, if you ever have a chance to listen to our podcast, it was pretty interesting. And of course, he always has something to say. And I saw him at the American Academy of Anti-Aging in December. And I said, hey, Phil, why don't you come over and meet me at Muscle and Fitness, where that's one of our distribution sites. And so I was at their booth. So he comes over, and within about 5 minutes, he was being interviewed by Rob Fletcher and his cohorts for one of their podcasts. So I guess it worked well for Phil that he just stopped by, and it just was it was fortuitous that they were ready to do a show, and there he was. And so suddenly he became a movie star at Muscle and Fitness.
Wow,
but I don't think does he go to RAADfest, your festival?
Yeah, Phil's been several times.
Oh, okay. Does he exhibit there?
Yes, he's gonna have an exhibit this year. He probably won't come this year. Mm-hmm. He's got some other issues going on, but right. His company will be represented.
Okay. Well, let me tell our viewers a little bit about you, James, because you have such a fascinating background. I really didn't know of you until Phil mentioned. Then I did all my homework, and then I spoke to you, and I was completely blown away by all of your history, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But So the Coalition for Radical Life Extension is one of your babies, along with, you have People Unlimited, RAADfest, which stands for Revolution Against Aging and Death, for anyone that wants to know what that means. So it's RAAD and then Fest. And that's an annual event that it will be happening in Anaheim, September, was it 5th to 7th, right?
5 through 8.
5 to 8, yeah. So at the Hyatt Regency, and we'll flash a little information about that on the screen during the show today. But anyway, so I've done a lot of homework on you, and the more I read about you, the more I watch you on podcasts, the more enthusiastic I become about what you stand for. And I know it's still in the, I guess you'd say, the controversial phase of development, but you've been doing this for 50 years now?
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about how this all happened. I mean, start us from the beginning. I know you were 11 years old and your grandmother passed away, and that was a life-changing event. Why don't you take it from there and tell us exactly what happened and how you came from there to here?
Hey, okay. I'll do my best to cover that.
I know.
So yeah, you're right. I was 11 years old. My grandmother passed. I was very close. There was my first experience, with somebody close to me dying. I think everybody's had this kind of experience, For me, it was very, very painful. And because she was a very vibrant woman, loving, and I adored her, as a kid. And so, yeah, I saw her really suffer with cancer, and her body just, fade away. And then when she died, I had a lot of, grief over that. I asked my mother, I said, when will we get to see grandmother again, And my mother said, well, when you die and go to heaven. And I thought, oh, well, that didn't sound really, great to a kid, right? When you have to die to go and so, kids a lot of times can simplify these matters that we adults, we make them more complex. Mm-hmm. So pretty simple to me. I didn't want to die. And so I said to my mother, I said, well, why can't we have heaven here on earth? Why can't that, you know? And my mother said, oh, that's a good thought. She was progressive. She was a seeker in that level. And she said, that's a good thought. Why don't you pursue that? So that was in my blood, you might want to say, from then on. I mean, when I was in school, I'd write themes on this topic, fifth and sixth grade. And I would write, all kinds, whenever there's a opportunity to write some theme, I would write on this particular topic, how we could create a world without death. I didn't know what that totally meant in that context. I just felt like that was the kind of world we should have. That would be the end of suffering of that nature. Because at an early age, like I said, I experienced that kind of suffering. And I know many other people, not everyone, some level or another, have experienced that. I'm very conscious of that today. So out of that, I just kept pursuing that. That was, like I say, in my blood. At an early age, I was 16. I got into integral yoga. The master, the teacher was Sri Aurobindo, and he was like the Abraham Lincoln of India.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to bring together all the yogis to use their enlightenment. He said, why are we gaining all this truth and knowledge and enlightenment just to compete with each other with it? Why don't we use it to create a super body? Let's join together, all of us, and create a super body that would not die. That was his passion. That really moved me at that time, because that's a stream. It's interesting. You probably know this yourself. When you really have something you're passionate about, you draw it to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're all energetic beings. So if you believe in something, you're probably going to be energetically manifesting that, right?
Yeah. So I manifested that opportunity. It was a great experience. I was in that for like 4 to 5 yeyears. I studied in the Sri Aurobindo ashram in San Francisco. Also, there's one here in Sedona. I learned a lot about the focusing energy, because that's what Sri Aurobindo was about, to focus that enlightenment and energy on creating a human body together. He said, if we all pull together, we can do this. Well, he wasn't really successful at uniting people from that level. He did a lot. He created made a big impact, but it wasn't, it's a very difficult thing to unite people in something that they say haven't really embraced, on that level. So anyway, I kept, moving and went to college, and then I met my partner, Bernadine, and her partner, and a partner that she was working with at that time, Charles Paul Brown, in 1968. And they were speaking at that time on unlimited lifespans and immortality, saying that that's the true human potential for people. And I thought, wow, that's great. I love this. And I was in college at the time, and I started going to all their events. They were living in Colorado. They would take tours through Arizona and other states. Anytime they were here in Arizona, I'd see them. Finally, I went to Colorado to one of their events there. They had over 500 people in the event up in Estes Park, Colorado, when I went up there. And it was a phenomenal event.
And that was 68.
68, yes.
Wow. That's amazing that movement was actually evolving at that early time. That was, how many years ago? 68 to today.
Yeah. 32, 42, what was it? Wait.
It is 50 years, right?
More than 50 years. Yeah, more than 50 years. So yeah, I was really, really moved by them. And they were touring the States, speaking about in this subject. And I thought, you know what? That's what I want to do. So I was in college. I was studying business. But I thought, this is what I want to do. I mean, this is the business I want to do. So I kept going to their events wherever they were. And fortunately, finally, they asked me to, and I was always, helping out on things with them and programs. They asked me to join them in a tour, So I did that. It was an amazing experience. I wasn't speaking much then. I more or less write my feelings about, super longevity and immortality. But then I began to, where we go to these events, because they always opened up for people to express themselves. And so I started speaking at those events gradually. In 1972, we decided to work together. I had a lot of experience in business. My dad was a businessman. I wanted to see this movement accelerate. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to help raise money, for you guys so you can, work more full time in this. And that's what I did. I created a network of businesses so that, they could, and consequently, eventually I could work full time in spreading the news on immortality and the possibility of unlimited lifespans. So, I say that because immortality and unlimited lifespans, because in our community, you have some people, for example, that are really into immortality, unlimited lifespans. That's me. I'm an immortalist. Then you have others that say they just want to live as long as they want to live. They might want 100 years, 200 years. And so I have no argument with any of that, whatever people feel. But for sure, we need to extend our lifespans and get out of this era of survival.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Qigenics. From stem cell therapy to lifestyle coaching, Qigenics is the perfect place to go for all your health and wellness needs. This health clinic is amazing at getting you personalized medicine and wellness that is unique to you. Use the code ageless and you'll get 20% off your first service with them. Go to www.qigenix.com to find out more information about these powerful methods. I'm sorry, James, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that really triggers something in me, which is, death and survival are negative emotions. I mean, for some people, maybe it is a blessing, but that's because they're still living in that, like you said, limited mindset. But how do you go from the negative to the creative, which is the immortality?
Yeah. Well, to me, first of all, as difficult as it is because of the program that's so strong in our bodies, that death is inevitable. And you talk to most people, and especially back in those days, we had a lot of great responses from people, but most people would say, oh, there's no scientific proof on that. That's impossible. You guys are crazy. Of course, everybody's been called crazy, right? Any really progressive invention. So that didn't stop me. But so what I experienced in myself was the more I began to open myself up, I'll say, to a mindset of an unlimited lifespan, the more I felt transformations in my own body. Mm-hmm. I'm been here 76 years now on this planet, and I feel better than ever. Really more enthusiastic about living. I see the unlimited possibilities. There's no guarantee, obviously, because no one's really broke through what I call that death barrier yet, but it will happen.
Right.
And I'm moving that it will happen in my time, because obviously I don't want to be a pioneer with an arrow on my back, right? Not this too. So anyway, then I also experienced that there is a innate, I'll say, potential that already lays there in our bodies to live an unlimited lifespan. That's why really people have sought, as you know, from the beginning of time, immortality or the fountain of youth. Innately in our bodies, the desire.
Right.
So I call that desire the immortal lineage. Okay. When we tap into that immortal lineage, okay, there's and surrender to that potential that's there in our bodies. I use that word surrender because it's not something you have to fight for or struggle. We're so used to struggling for everything in our society. This is not something you have to struggle for. That's part of our survival mechanism. It's something we have to surrender to in our own bodies. This immortal lineage is already there. So I had an experience a couple years ago of actually having a total surrender of that in my body. And it happened, interesting enough. I'm not a religious person per se, and this didn't have anything to do for me for religion, but I was watching a story called The Chosen about Jesus. And in it, at that time, I was kind of hungry for something more energy, more resilience for my own body. I knew that this path that I had chosen for an unlimited lifespan, for immortality, was something that was a lot to be reckoned with in that. It's going to take more strength than any of us really recognize or are familiar with, more resilience because of all the things we have to face in living. Just the time we're here on this planet, the things we have to face, much less another 100, 200 years, right? So there's a lot to experience and go through. So I knew there had to be something more. So I was watching this film because I was hungry for something more, and I just, it was a chosen. Life is Jesus, and I felt an energy. The actor was so good in it, and the way he portrayed Jesus. I felt a new energy in my body, and I went, "What's that? What is that?" And so as I began to let myself feel that, I thought, well, it feels good. Maybe it's just something I'm feeling, right now from this kind of inspirational moment. But I woke up in the morning. The short story is I woke up in the morning feeling entirely new after I watched that. New in my body, and I thought, what happened there? And then as the days went by, I felt better and better all the time. And today, that's 2 years ago. Today, it's even stronger than me than ever. And what I got in touch with is that through that experience, I think Jesus was the first man, like this seed, this potential has always been there in humankind, but I think he was the first human being to actually embrace it, to actually embrace the human body in a way that's never been embraced. And consequently, he awakened, I'll use that term, this lineage in the body and enabled it for all of us to experience. What I was experiencing then was the spirit of him, of that immortal energy in my body from him.
Right. Well, he was immortal, and he said we were cast in his image, so at least that's what he hoped. So his crucifixion was just a hijacking, like you once said. I think one of your lectures that he was hijacked by, unfortunately, by detractors who didn't that immortality, but whatever. So the way I dissect that, if I were trying to give somebody an explanation in lay terms about what happened to you, I would say you had a spiritual awakening with an energetic, if you want to take the science side of it, it was an energetic reaction. So you have both the spiritual and the physical, and the result was it was a mental state at first, but it manifested into a physical state that has stayed with you. And how lucky are you
I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed in that. And thank you. That was a great explanation, a great interpretation of the experience. Yeah. I got goosebumps when you said that. So that's kind of a witnessing, right, of the energy. I just felt this new energy then, and it's just grown on me ever since. And I started, if you've watched my videos, I'm expressing about this all the time, and it's contagious. I mean, I have an organization here. At first, when I started talking about this, they went like, "Where are you going?" And,
right. I there are people who still believe that it's kooky, and I mean that you're eccentric, that they don't quite get the gist of the possibility. So there's always going to be that element. But the fact that RAADfest, for example, has grown to what it is today from 2016, I think that in itself is an example of, hope lasts. We hope that people will always hope, right? And as long as we have hope in our lives and faith and belief systems, which you were just blessed to arrive at this state when you were basically 11 years old, and you kept getting more and more depth and involvement. But to find your calling in life, do you realize how lucky you are that you found your calling? And some people go through life and never find what they were brought here for, and you were given that gift at 11 years old. So kudos to you, and kudos to the universe for giving you such an amazing opportunity. And here you are today, that now inspiring with your partner, Bernadette. Is it Bernadette or Bernadine?
It's Bernadine. It's Bernadine.
Bernadine. Okay, sorry. But that you are inspiring so many others. So let me just ask you a philosophical question, because it does relate to immortality and to the physical side of living forever. This gets into the emotional and the spiritual. How can we as human beings, if we are going to live a longer life, let's say, even if it's not immortal, but we are going to have a extended lifespan. How can we be kinder to each other so that the world that we're creating to live in for all these extra years is a better place to be?
That's a great question. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Well, yeah, I've gone to tremendous depths about this because, as you've been saying, I work with a lot of people and work with them close,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the reasons I hungered myself to have a deeper experience of connection. That's what 2 years ago when I began to feel what I did and then had the experience around Jesus. And you're right, I want people to understand a lot of that because the program, even around Jesus, has been so traumatic for so many people, in religion. It's been, he's been used as a figure sometimes to both, inspire people and to chastise people, for religion. And so, but the Jesus I'm talking about, I just want to make this clear, is that Jesus before he was hijacked and a different meaning was given to him. I'm talking about this human being like you and I who had this tremendous passion and love for the flesh. And that's what I want to get at in your question. It's a transformation. We're never going to feel each other and connect with each other from an old place that we've been trying to for thousands of years, because we're all separate entities. We've come from different genes, but this opportunity that there's this same lineage that in all of us, and when we each tap into that, we become each other's lineage. And then there's a love for each other and a kindness that comes out that is on, as it's like, you're doing unto yourself, really, as you do unto others. You do unto others as you do unto yourself. But there's no really, my experience, and I've been working this for a long time, there's no other, I've been working for oneness, you might say, in this type of connection you're talking about for 50 years. And that was part of my cry 2 years ago, was that how do I get a deeper connection than what we're happening? It's not been totally there. And that's when I realized that I'm still coming from this mortal lineage that I was born into. And from that mortal lineage, we're not connected.
Right.
We're in survival. Our family, people love their families, but they don't love each other. And even sometimes people love their families, but their family is the most important thing. They don't connect with a neighbor that way, even though they, in their heart, maybe they want to. But when we realize that we're, and have that surrender to being the same lineage, there's automatic a communion, I call it, of our bodies that happens, that we begin to have a feeling and a passion and a virtue that pours out for one another that's never been before. And that's what I'm experiencing. I have no fight with anybody. I used to be trying to struggle with people all the time before 2 years ago to get them to be immortal. I was ready to shake them into it.
Right. Now you're accepting.
That's what it took, because I had such a strong conviction of it. But today I realized, wow, it's not by, as Jesus said, it's not by might, it's not by power, but it's by my spirit, by the spirit.
And love, which is the greatest emotion of all, is at the base of all of what you're describing. So your unconditional love for everyone, which you obviously discovered that night, that you had in you, has allowed you to not be, create aversion, or, basically it's acceptance. You've accepted your place in life as a teacher, and kind of, on a way, I don't want to, make your head get swelled, but like a prophet in a way. And you're spreading the message of something, whether people believe in immortality or just say a longer health span and lifespan. Even that is a great leap of faith, because most people are programmed to believe they're going to be born to die, and so they don't. So how do you calibrate the spiritual with the scientific? Because obviously a lot of the beliefs that you're proposing have a scientific basis and fact, and that's what's creating this groundswell in the last, let's say, 10 years of interest in what you're doing, because science has basically caught up with the belief system. So how do you calibrate that?
Yeah, thank you. Good question too. So let me go back to the love thing for just one moment, because I wanted to address something you said there. As long as we're coming from immortal love, where and you see that all the time. People love each other. Next week they don't. They hate each other. It can But when we're coming from this lineage, this immortal lineage that Jesus captured, okay, it has no bounds. It's
Mm-hmm.
endless. It's endless. It
Right.
grows, it expands. It's alive. So that's the
Right.
difference between a mortal love that we were born into and an immortal love that we can be, that we can surrender to, and it has no limitations. So I
Right.
just wanted to add that. Now, as far
Right.
as science and the spiritual and the science, uh, I have experienced that um, it's all ours. I use that term. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the body, mind, soul are all one, and when there's an awakening of the body, for example, we draw to us everything we need. I feel like, look, just to be clear, what I'm talking about of the immortal lineage is like a platform, is the foundation to build this new world on. It's not
Right.
all answers. We're going to draw to us then the best of science, the best information, everything we need to complete this new world.
Mm-hmm.
But it all works together. There's no separation. Some people say, oh, I believe in the spiritual, I don't believe in the science, or I believe in the science, I don't believe in the spiritual. In one sense, it's a big miss because
Yeah.
we need it all. We need it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
We don't. First of all, we don't want to live in this world forever, constantly battling with each other
Right.
and with the threat of total annihilation. Right? You
That's
know,
that's that's why
yeah.
I asked you a
Who
question
wants
about
to live in that environment all the time? And
yeah,
there's not security in it anyway. It's not sustainable. So
exactly.
I want a world that we feel this deep spiritual connection of our bodies with each other, this deep passion and virtue. And out of that, it's a foundation for us to draw everything we need to build on top of that.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so let's talk about some of the specific science
Yeah.
and also, I'm an entrepreneur like you and a businesswoman, and I, always follow the media on what's happening in the longevity world, and you can't help noticing that some of the tech billionaires are subscribing to big
Yeah.
investments in these startups that are focused on not so much immortality. I wouldn't say. I would say longevity,
That's right. They call it healthy living.
healthy living. Right. So we've got Jeff Bezos. We have Peter Thiel. We have Larry Page. We have Michael West. We have Peter Diamandis and Tony Robbins and so on and so forth. So, and some of those companies, and I'm sure some of them have come to your festival, correct?
Yes.
Some of those people. Okay, so and has have any of them spoken at RAADfest?
Michael West.
Michael West.
Couple
Okay.
couple times. He's amazing. He's really really amazing.
You know, you know, who you're having at RAADfest this year that is coming on my podcast shortly. In fact, you are the reason today that we were able to have you on is Eric Verdon.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, Eric was supposed to be on last week and he had to cancel and he's coming on in July.
Great.
But he and I have become good friends, and he's right next door to me at the Buck Institute. While I wouldn't say he's one of the tech billionaires, he's certainly one of those cutting edge, out in front, leading thinkers, along with Dr. Lee Hood and Dr. Bredesen. They've all, basically their motto is live longer, live better longer. So similar to yeah. So I was so happy to see that he's one of your speakers because he basically started as an allopathic medical doctor at UCSF. And
Yeah.
I actually asked him about that. I asked Dr. Lee Hood about it too. I said, you two are amazing. And I know they've influenced each other, but they both started out as traditional allopathic providers at a traditional hospital in San Francisco. And look where they are today and what they're espousing. So
Right.
well, anyway, so let's go back to the question. I'm sorry, I digress, but I just, was so excited to see that Eric's going to be part of RAADfest. That'll be actually he's coming on before RAADfest, so I'll make sure I talk about it on the podcast interview. So let's go back to the question though about science and the developments, because obviously, this isn't just pie in the sky theory. We're talking about actual things that have occurred in the medical field technologically, Peter Diamandis said at A4M 2 years ago that the last 10 years have accomplished more than the last 100 years.
Right.
And that AI and telomeres and DNA and all these things were not even known in the vocabulary. So these are the tool chests. This is the tool chest that you are relying on, really, for the theory of expanded lifespan or possibly immortality. So,
well, I'm so grateful today that these innovations now exist, and they're being there's more great protocols and innovations for longevity coming out all the time. Back when I first started speaking, and working in this field in 1972, there wasn't, hardly any science at all. I remember one scientist. He was a Nobel Prize winner. Joshua Ledenberg was his name, and he was speaking in Scottsdale, where I live here. And but it was a science event. You couldn't get in. But the next day in the paper, that was back in 1974. Next day in the paper came out, Joshua Ledenberg says immortality is possible.
oh,
Back in 1974. So yeah, so I'm so grateful today, though, that we are where we're at, and there's really some great protocols out there now: gene therapies, immune therapies, senolytics, exosomes, stem cells, all these great different innovations and protocols that can help us get to the next step. I mean, when you're talking about unlimited lifespans, that's because that's what I'm about. That's what RAADfest is about. It's not about just healthy living. That's important, but it's about we're the cutting edge of immortality, unlimited lifespans. That's what our focus is. So, so when you're talking about that, it's a foundational thing again. It's steps. It's not just like you're going to create one innovation and that's going to be the magic bullet. Okay, there'll be some specific great innovations that will take us. I'll say in leaps. Like some of these gene therapies. Dr. Bill Andrews is working on one now. You probably know him.
I told you he's coming on the podcast in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, Bill Andrews, good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dr. Andrews, and you and I talked about him when we spoke earlier.
Yeah, so he's got a gene therapy that can reverse aging, back to a biological age of 25 if it worked completely, and he's already proved the concept, in the lab. So now just look on the human studies. That's remarkable. Can you imagine being say 90 chronologically and 25 biologically? That's enormous. And he's just looking for funding to get that proven. So there's many others out there like that. So that's exciting. I mean, I predict in the next 1 to 5 years, we're going to have something remarkable in that level. It's going to change the world. Now, in the meantime, we have all these great innovations that we can use. I use them. I've done senolytics, stem cells, exosomes, many different therapies like of that nature. It's fantastic. They're fantastic. And that's why I encourage people, like Ray Kurzweil said, stay alive long enough to live forever. Because eventually everything's moving so fast that what we know today to keep us healthy, next year we'll know something to take us to that next step. And that's what it is. We're going to step our way into this new world. Ray Kurzweil recently, and in his new book, well, he just put it out. It's called, It's about being closer to this new age of immortality. The name of it, it'll come to me. But he speaks in there very strongly, and he spoke at RAADfest about this last year, that in 2030, we're going to be entering into the era of immortality.
Right. I know he said that. And
6 years.
Yeah.
His prediction.
Years away.
And he's been very accurate in a lot of his predictions. So whatever that looks like at that time, whether it's, uploading ourselves into the cloud, that there'll be different steps, and people are going to, what's kind of nice in one sense, I'll use this term. It's kind of nice that there's going to be different options for people depending upon their situation to experience an unlimited lifespan, or at least a long time to live. And because this time we have now on this planet is almost, it's an atrocity, really, to work all of our lives, get 70, 60, 70 years old and begin to deteriorate and
right,
everything begins to fall apart. Same thing with people around you. It,
right,
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's
right,
horrible to see people you love deteriorate. And not only that, to really no one's replaceable. But you see all these people that we lose, right?
right.
And it just shouldn't be. And so that's what we're working towards.
So much of it is life choices, which we can
Yes,
get deeper into that because we do need to break down how some people do live a longer life and a healthier life while others deteriorate. And there are, very methodical things that people can do. And we've talked about many of those subjects on my podcast, which, of course, is diet and nutrition and stress and sleep and all of that. So, but one thing I did want to say to you, and it's something that's been bothering me lately, and I just need to put it out there. Well, before I get to that, though, I do want to say that Mark Twain said, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?" And I love that because
love that.
so if he asked you that, what would you say?
How old would I be if I didn't know I always say anyways that I'm ageless.
Well,
Okay.
that's why you're on my podcast because that's how I got the name. Because people ask me all the time, "Oh, Michelle, how old are you?" And I would say I would never answer them, and I
Yeah.
would say I'm ageless and timeless. And then when I came around to thinking, how do I make this into something that will help others? Because it's my belief system. That's how the name came about. So yeah, so you're ageless and I'm ageless. So we're both very lucky.
Yeah. These numbers can have a power over you.
Hmm.
You start thinking, and you see this all the time in our society. The 20-year-old thinks he's got to be like everybody else that's 20. Then same thing with the 30s, 40s. Then pretty soon they all kind of imitate each other and they don't want to get out of the box because they don't want to be thought of as different many times. And
Hmm.
And then as you begin to mature and you get to say in your 70s or 80s or whatever, people see you as a certain way there, you're old and they talk to you even a different way on the phone when they think you're, over 70, they're going, "Hi, honey. Hi, sweetie." An old person. I'm saying, what the hell do you want?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, and,
Well, we're very
but,
lucky. A lot of
yeah,
people don't understand, James, the difference between biological and chronological age. And I think it's really important if somebody, if you are not going to answer, "I'm ageless," you could certainly give a number for your biological age because I'm sure you know what that is, and you know that it's always getting better every year because you're doing more and more um, uh, experimenting. But it's just something that I do think people are stuck on age and chronological age.
oh,
And
100%.
that's
Because age,
more than anybody now because for the first time in my life, I was married, for 40 plus years, met my husband when we were 14. And unfortunately, he passed away. So now I'm a single woman in the dating world, and suddenly age becomes relevant, which it wasn't really to me at all because I was just every year was getting better. I always said I might be a year older. I've been around the sun another year, but I'm getting better and I'm getting younger all the time. So there was that belief system. You tend to manifest that reality. But when you're single, you know, if you're on a dating site, that's the first thing people want to know. It's crazy.
yeah, we have so much age prejudice in this world. It's unfortunate. But what also, I've freed myself. I don't mind saying my age, because I freed myself from the consciousness of that. You
Yeah,
know, uh, it's that same when when you're pure of heart, all things are made whole. You
yeah,
know, and it's something about knowing who you are. But I don't relate to it all the time. I don't think about my birthdays. I don't
yeah,
think I'm this old. I don't think about I'm just going by, and I dress how I feel. I don't dress like I'm supposed to age wise. And that's
right,
another people all the time saying, "Oh, I can't wear that. I'm too old for that." You know,
right, right,
and that's a big mistake. You got to
right.
dress how you feel. Don't care what other people think.
Correct. Well, let me go back before I forget to go to say what was bothering me, okay? Because I want to be
Yeah, tell
sure.
me what's bothering you.
Yeah, what's bothering me is all of these things that you and I are both very passionate about with exosomes, stem cells, DNA methylation, telomere testing, on and on and on, all the things, senolytics. Uh, they're not currently affordable to the masses. And I feel very, what's the word? I feel very compromised by that because I want more. Insurance won't cover these things. And we know that our insurance industry is all about allopathic, covering sickness, not health. So, what is your thinking about how to make all of these protocols available in the future so more and more people can be immortal?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a big thing. And I get that question a lot. So, as you know, I mean, these guys who put out, for the most part, these extraordinary protocols, it costs a lot of money, and to do the laboratory work. And even if they get FDA approval on it, it's enormous, the cost. Okay.
Right.
Unfortunately. So we have that to deal with. But same time, it's like the cell phone, right? When it first came out,
Right.
no one could afford it. I remember having a big, the first one, the big old thing like this. You had to hold up like.
I did too.
And it cost like it's not affordable. Even the weekly bill on it was horrible, But I had to use it sometimes in my business. So, but anyway, the more people that bought that, then the more people that got out there, the lower prices. Now we're holding this thing that you can get for many times a few $100s. That's the strongest computer ever made. 50,000 times stronger than the first computer. It's amazing what it can do. It's miraculous to have this thing right in our hands. It's changed all of our lives. This is the same thing will happen with all these protocols. Now, but another thing that's important, and that we're doing to People Unlimited, we're doing collective purchasing. Okay, so when there's a protocol out, and this is something that we should join together more in our community, is right. So if 100 people, for example, all want to get, say, some particular senolytic or exosomes, in fact, you might have heard of this. Dr. Kaufman. Dr. Kaufman, who I'm talking about.
You and I spoke about him.
Andrew Kaufman.
Yeah, I mean a woman. She's a woman.
Yeah. She was here a couple of weeks ago in Scottsdale, and they did an exosome clinic. And because a bunch of us that wanted them, they could do them for about a third of the price.
Oh, interesting.
Everybody got some. It was excellent. So this is how we do here. And I want to see that more happen at RAADfest. And collecting, and it benefits the provider too, because more people are buying it. Consequently, they can lower the price. So we are collective purchasing more for those who want to participate.
Right. That's fabulous. So how do people join People Unlimited if they're interested?
They can go on our site, peopleunlimited.com. Okay. And they can come anytime, either in person or online, free right now. Okay. Just to experience it, see if it's for them. But we're creating an amazing community here. And one of the benefits is what I'm talking about. Life Extension, for example, we get all their products wholesale. I don't take anything from that. I just pass that on to the participants wholesale. Okay. And this enables people to get all these things at a much cheaper price. That's one of the benefits of being a member of People Unlimited. Come online, peopleunlimited.com. They show you exactly there how to get online. We'll send you a link, or you can come in person, which is always better, right? To be in person, and you can see what we're really about and experience it and see if it's for you. Then you can join the membership. And
how often do you meet?
Twice a week.
Oh, twice a week. Oh my goodness.
We're serious. I mean, I don't understand this thing is if you're really serious about something, you're going to be dedicated to it. And look, we spend 90% of our time. I mean, that's twice a week for a total of about 4 hours. Okay. 2 hours at each event. All right. We have weekend events, 3-day weekend event every month. And we have 2 week-long events through the year. But even if you take on just the hours for that's only about 5% of your time completely. And why wouldn't we dedicate at least 5% of our time to unlimited life?
Oh my goodness. This is so amazing. Well, count me in. I'm going to ask you to tell me how to, I just go online and I look at People Unlimited.
Yeah, come online and you can come on, you can come right on our online. We have a really great online system. You can actually participate. You can talk. You'll hear us really good. You can be involved in events, see if it's for you, you'll hear what we're doing. We're very we're a combination of what you would call spiritual, inspirational, and science. And
Hmm.
so great mix. And then we have all these benefits that we're all sharing, information on and doing these protocols.
Well, I love the fact that you're looking at the economics and that you're looking out for the population at large rather than an elite group of people who have the financial resources to afford this. But that's only about 1% of the population, and that's certainly not going to make a tidal wave in the movement of immortality if you don't reach the larger group. So good for you. Yeah, I looked into joining Tony Robbins, the Fountain of Life, Life Force book after I read it. And, I spoke with them and, they're opening up in Santa Monica this next year in 2025. But just to walk in the door, it's 25 grand. It's like an initiation fee. And then you have to pay a la carte for all the individual. So this is really not for the larger population. And that's what kind of turned me thinking, about this. And of course, I deal with all kinds of practitioners who I know what they charge and what they have to charge. Like you said, it costs a lot of money. So
Yeah, this is such a powerful subject because look, to me, this is, I don't begrudge, Tony and all what they're doing what they're doing. But really, to me, this is the people's movement. All
good
right.
for
Yeah, this is a people's movement, and we need to start thinking of each other. Everybody can benefit. We don't have to, um, I'll say, be greedy about something. Not saying they're greedy. I'm just saying, what's really most important is to get these protocols to the people, to the public,
right.
in an affordable way, so that everybody can benefit. Because then we're going to change the world.
Hmm. Oh, I'm so happy to hear you saying this. I hear you say this.
Yeah, if we outprice them, if we make them hard for other people to get on that level, and keep it like to like an exclusive club, it can have its benefits in growing. I mean, they're going to do what they do, but really, this is the people's movement,
Hmm.
and the people getting this, and that's what they do here at People Unlimited. We get it that by moving together, and we can create a collective energy and movement and an economy that everybody can benefit.
So let's dissect some of these protocols so that people understand what is available for, anti. Well, I don't like the word anti-aging. I like longevity because
Yeah,
anti is just a negative, a
I,
negation.
I agree.
But however, American Academy of Anti-Aging, I'm very fond of. I've been a member there for many, many years. So they have a name, but that name started.
Yeah.
It's and how first before we get into the protocols, how do you distinguish yourself, RAADfest, from American Academy of Anti-Aging?
Well, American Academy of Anti-Aging, A4M, is a educational program started out for doctors, you
Yeah.
know, aging. I think it's a great company,
Hmm.
great business, great organization.
Hmm.
I've been to it and a lot of friends go to it and it's what it is for anti-aging and more they're talking about longevity products. But we're different from the standpoint that I'm a big believer. You have to, like I said before, you have to have this good foundational, the more good foundational health you've got, the better
Hmm.
all the advanced protocols are going to work.
Right.
But PodFest is really about, like I said, it's not about anti-aging. Really, it's not about, healthy living. It's about ending aging and death.
Because aging is a disease that
Yes.
can be cured. That if
Yes.
people start to understand that it's not inevitable, that it's a disease, just like other diseases that are out there, and there are ways to cure that disease. So that awareness creates an opening and a belief system that obviously you've subscribed to since age 11, but not a lot of people, don't understand that until later in life, if they ever do.
That's right.
So let's dissect some of these protocols. So let's take a typical day for you. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do?
That's a good one. Okay, so the first thing I do is I do breathing exercises and
Hmm.
stretches. I actually go out my back door here, which I'm blessed to have sunshine most every day. I open my arms to the sunshine. Give thanks for and gratefulness for having health and being alive and having great friends. I just take a moment for that. Then I go on my patio out here. I have some dogs. I bring them out in the patio. I sit down there for a little while and just kind of meditate, get myself, feel the spirit moving in my body, get in touch with that. And then I start taking I probably take about through the day, I'm taking probably about, it changes all the time because I rotate them, but I take about 50 different supplements, but they're all based on blood tests,
Right.
And then I'll do I'll do infrared sauna most days.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do some swimming off and on swimming, now it's getting hot, so I swim. When it's not hot, I'll either ride my mountain bike or by doing something that moves my body a lot every day. I don't just sit. I'll sit here with you for an hour, but after I'm going to go out in the back, I'll stretch. I might jump on my trampoline a little bit. Movement
Right.
is the more you move, the more you're sending the signal to your body that you're going to keep moving. Okay,
Correct.
all the fundamental things. Then I'm researching. I'll spend time most days researching some of the newest protocols. I'm privy to a lot of the doctors and scientists in the network. They'll contact me too, or send me emails about what they're doing. So I'm privy to some of the newest stuff coming out. I'll look at it for myself. Like one of the things that's been around for a little while, but there's always been more advancement in it is young blood exchange. And so a lot of top doctors are working on that now. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm still investigating that. So I'm always investigating what's that next best thing. And I'm always weighing, risk versus benefit, right? So
Right.
you don't do anything, okay, the risk is very high that we're going to deteriorate. But
Right.
sometimes some of these are new things we're doing. So we have to evaluate them good to say, oh, okay, is this going to benefit me more? Then, maybe I'm going to, have loose bowel movements for a while from it. Okay. From that, for example, but is the benefit a lot greater? And then when that side effect gets over, am I going to benefit a lot? Rapamycin is one of the big, challenges in that way because it can, you have great benefits on your body, but then it can also affect your kidneys and other things sometimes if you don't take it right. But you have to find out for yourself, does the risk, warrant the benefit?
Correct. Yeah. Well, autophagy is another one of those hot buttons today, and particularly with what's going on with the semaglutides and the GLP-1 agonists. So people are, going in for sugar for diabetes, but they're getting a benefit with weight loss. So, but they're also many are getting sarcopenia, but many food companies are upset because people aren't buying as much food at the grocery store because of the autophagy. The people are just basically fasting without even really wanting to or knowing. Not that they don't want to. They want to lose weight, but sometimes they actually want to eat, but they can't. It's a very strange phenomenon what's going on with the whole.
I understand. When I get off the line with you here, I'm going to be going to a company called OsteoStrong. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Oh, this is amazing. It's about a 15-minute exercise circuit, 4 different machines that are computerized, and they're set to be able to trigger bone strength and bone growth. Okay, and since I've been doing it for about 2 years now. After the first 3 months I did a bone density test, and my bone density test increased about 20%. To sarcopenia, your muscle, your bones are what helps keep your whole structure, your skeletal structure, good, and it's very important for muscle strength too. And so I've been doing that now for 2 years, 1 day a week. That's all. Takes about 15 minutes.
Right.
I have them in LA. Okay. They're going now across the country. The guy who invented that has spoke at RAADfest a couple times. Amazing science on it. And so I'm just saying that too. It's a key thing for any of us as we mature. Very important to not get osteoporosis. And if you do, this could also help a lot with that. Strengthening your bones, getting new bone growth. And since I've been doing that for 2 years, I'm stronger than ever. I don't have any joints that ache. Another thing we face as we age is loose joints. So this all tightens your joints. you
Yeah.
know, it keeps your tendons strong. So
How,
I, yeah, so it's great.
James, how do you spell that? Osteo, O-S,
Oster,
oh, E-R, okay.
Strong,
Oh,
osteo, bone strength,
and
bone.
who is the founder?
His name is oh, trying to think of his name now. Shoot. Um,
I'll look it up. It's okay.
oh, yeah, he's in there. He'll be on the site. Carl's his first name.
Carl. Okay. I might want to have him on the podcast. I
He should
use the
be a
power.
very good speaker. He's a very good speaker, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you, this protocol is amazing, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's available for about $200 a month.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's great.
you do once a week. Yeah.
So I use the power plate. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that similar in terms of
It's
the
similar. It
vitamin?
is similar. It is similar. It's good. I got that too. I got one of those. I don't think it's as good as the actual machine results, but it's still good. I mean, it's good. It's good for doing that.
Well, I mean, I think it's good for ATP, right? Because I don't know about. I assume that would ultimately affect the bone strength, but the ATP of the muscles, when you're using vibration, you're getting far more power for the same movement that you might do if you were not using it. So,
You're
and by the way,
fundamentally talking about the vibration plate, right?
yeah, it's called the
Yeah,
power plate.
I have one of those too. They're
Yeah.
great. I do that every day too.
Yeah, and I also do have a far infrared sauna. I use it every single day that when I'm here, when I'm not traveling. So I also have a hyperbaric chamber. Have you used that at all?
Yes, I have. They're great. We have a really good one that's opened up a company here in town that I'm going to start going to soon. But I've done it several times.
And you can buy it for your home. Mine is the vertical one. I don't like the horizontal because you feel like you're getting into a coffin. but
Good
but
point.
the
Good point.
vertical ones are really great, and that you can have two people in there if you want. But
Are they
but
pretty reasonable?
sorry.
Are the vertical ones price wise pretty reasonable?
Yeah, I think I paid like it was I got one from a friend who had used it, and then she had a clinic and she wanted to upgrade, so she was buying bigger ones. So I bought her a smaller one, but mine I think was like used was about 11,000. But you have to buy the concentrator. So the combination of the concentrator, which is where you get the oxygen, and the actual tent that you sit in with the mask. I think for me, so normally I think they'd be about 17,000. I mean, it's a big investment, but the science on hyperbarics is profound.
It
So
is. Sure. That's true.
so
Yeah.
okay, so what supplements would you not be without?
Oh, wow. Well, Life Extension Foundation has put out a really good pyramid regarding that. And
Hmm.
they're recommending, everybody's different. Okay.
Hmm.
So, but there
Right,
are ones that everybody should do. And
right,
that was, I was just reading that this morning actually. And that was C and,
yeah,
and E, vitamin A,
yeah,
vitamin D, and
yeah,
omega
yeah,
3. Okay. There might be
yeah.
one more, I think what it was, selenium maybe, but those are big, everyone should do those. But then that pyramid goes up to the next level, and everybody has to do the blood work to get what they should do in that next level. And then the
Mm.
third top level is all the things that you want to try or say do that to advance your health in ways that would be more sometimes experimental or risk versus benefit type.
Right. Yeah, the D on the D, I think they make sure that the D and K, D3 and K2 are combined because they really are a 1-2 punch, and
Yeah.
so people should not be taking D3 without K2 because K2 helps you get the calcium to move rather than stay which could cause calcification if you just did the D3. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny you didn't mention any minerals in that first level. All vitamins and of course fish oils.
I'm
But
trying. I'm trying to think if there was a mineral in there. Fundamentally,
well, selenium. But
some people, yeah, some people. get a lot of their minerals from their food, obviously. But I think that's in the second level where you do your blood work and then
Right,
you find out what minerals you lack and you go from there. Then there's
right,
these basic ones at the bottom.
right. Well, I think unfortunately I wanted to go further with that because it's fascinating, and also with all these protocols like stem cells. You and I spoke about the stem cells, and just before we close, what would you say is the difference between doing stem cells and exosomes, and which would you prefer?
That's a big controversy.
I
So,
know.
you
I
know,
asked.
talking who Kaufman was just here, Dr. Kaufman. Um, she was saying that she likes exosomes. She thinks that they are they're the signaling system of stem cells, and she thinks they're more um, overall effective. But then obviously, you talk to a stem cell specialist; they like the stem cells. Uh,
Right.
I think there's different. From my experience, of course, this is the verdict's still out on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's different applications for them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know Tony Robbins talks about a stem cell treatment he got on his shoulder when he had that ski accident.
Right.
That did amazing for him. I mean, he tried everything else. You know,
Right. And his father. Remember, he took his father to
yeah.
Mexico. I
So I
think
think
to
they both have
um,
different applications. So
yeah,
exosomes are regenerative of the whole body. You
yeah.
know. So anyway, I think you have to get in touch
They
with what.
touched on peptides, which are the new darling of the longevity movement, right? All the peptides. It's a bit confusing. We won't even go there. But before we go, I want to just let everybody know your amazingly generous gift to our viewers. So listen up, everybody, because this is like a raffle. But thank you to James and to RAADfest and their sponsors. He is providing one free pass, which is worth about $700 to RAADfest, which is, as I mentioned earlier, in Anaheim in September 5th to the 8th. 2024 at the Hyatt Regency. So it does not include your accommodations, but it does include meals and the event itself. So I'm going to give you my number, and the first person that calls me after this show, when it goes live, will be sent over to James for processing. And so I hope somebody has pretty fast fingers because this is really quite an amazing offer. So anyway, it's my phone number is area code 808-639-0904. It's a Hawaii exchange, but I kept it from all the years that I was developing real estate in Hawaii. But I do live in San Francisco, so you can call me on West Coast time, Pacific time. Okay, well, James, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like this was an amazing conversation.
That was beautiful, Michelle. You're great to converse with. Thank you very much. And last thing I want to say is, hey, come to RAADfest. It'll change your life for the better. You'll
Uh,
love. I told you earlier, Michelle. You won't want to leave.
I know, and I'm really looking forward to being with you, James. And so I am going to contact you offline to arrange for that and start getting my accommodations and so forth. So you'll count me in, and we'll get to meet in person. So thank you again for being so kind today to give all of your thoughts and your enthusiasm and just all your loving energy. It's really quite gratifying to have someone like you share all those belief systems that are going to affect our life in a very positive way. So take care and have a beautiful day.